which is dataset C. All right, we're looking at all our data for dataset C. And again, it looks pretty simple because we did hide a lot of those columns. You can see that columns C and AC are both in blue, which tells me there's a bunch of hidden columns in between there, which we know because we hid them. And we're going to take a look. In this one, we're going to go ahead and compare scores by race. So we're going to take that filter in column AF. And we can start by sorting in ascending order. Again, this will put all of the different races right next to each other so we can use ranges. Let's start with African American. We're going to look over here at our total percentage. I'm going to click at the bottom, equals average, cell AD8 through cell AD16. And we find that our average score is 91%. And that is for our African American students. We have 91%. Okay. Now we're going to filter next. Let's actually delete that value first. Great. Now we're going to filter for Asian students. Okay. We're going to put this right at the bottom of the score. Start with an equal sign, average, cell AD17 through AD19. Close the parentheses, hit enter, and we have 74%. So our Asian students scored an average of 74%. Next, we're looking at our Latino students. We're going to enter that formula in the same box. Start with an equal sign, average, cell AD20 through cell AD25. And again, I have been checking each time just to make sure that these numbers are in order, so we aren't in fact hiding any cells in between them. So this average should be correct for our Latino students, and we have 65%. Okay. And then we're going to delete that and go for our last, actually we have two more groups. Native American. Here we see that we only have one Native American student, so there really isn't a need to average it. We can just look at that total score and say, okay, there's 48%. Now, what would be important when you're presenting your data, it's probably going to be important to take note of the fact that you do only have one Native American student. So when you're looking at an average of 91% for African American students and 48% for Native American, you're comparing a larger group of students to one individual student. So keep that in mind as you're working that that number perhaps is not as good for comparison because there is only one student. So let's take a look now at our white students. We're going to click in the box below our total scores, start with an equal sign, type in average because we want to average their scores, and we're looking at AD27 through AD31. Close the parentheses, hit enter, and we have 40% for our white students. So we're looking at a wide range of student achievement here. Keeping in mind this is sample data that we're looking at, but it shows you a good example of when you break it down by race, you can really take a look at how students did in regards to the different categories that we're looking at. Okay, I'm going to leave that there for our next video when we take a look at sharing your data. Okay, so now we've looked at formulas and we've seen many examples for how we're going to use them to summarize our data. So as we close out, do a quick self-check and make sure that you've reached these two objectives. So one, teachers will be able to use the average formula to calculate their data. And two, teachers will be able to create filters and use them to view initial summaries of your data. So now is a great time to stop this video, open up your spreadsheet, and go ahead and try the same things that we just did in this video with your student achievement data.